Wake up. It's time for Primal Scream.
Welcome back to the Primal Scream. I'm Matt.
I am Todd.
And today we are visited.
I'm so excited. I can barely contain myself.
I think Todd might have a wet spot in his pants. Relax, buddy. Chill out. Or it might be the beer that you were holding between your legs.
Yeah.
Either way, condensation, we'll just say it's that. But Terry McCaulley is with us today.
Nice.
I like to think of Terry as like a local treasure and legend.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. A connoisseur, a collector of great music.
Thank you.
And great performer.
Yeah. And as a light 70s rock fan, when I first heard Terry play via Mrs. Todd, I was like, oh, I found the person I need to follow around all over and watch live, because all the music he plays is my favorite music. So
if you like to go to a bar, I'll say it like this: if you like to go to a bar and just chill out, if you like that really loud music if you like that and you can barely have a conversation with somebody, don't go see Terry, because one, you're a douche, and two, we don't need people like that at Terry's hangouts. I don't want to be around people like that at Terry's hangouts. When Terry plays, it's a very relaxed, awesome pub atmosphere.
Sing along.
And and he involves the crowd. You know what? I'm going to quit getting all up in Terry's business for a second. I'm going to stop describing him. We're going to let him talk in a second. Or if you want to chime in on current events, that's cool too. Todd, what do you got for us?
All right. I was kind of caught off guard because what's the date today? Oh, look me right in the eye. Look me right in the eye and tell me what day it is.
You're a bastard. If I had a Chuck Kevin on watch, I would know.
You have no idea.
It's March.
Good.
12th.
Hey.
It's March 12th.
Terry.
That's okay.
No,
Thank you, Terry.
He never knows the date, and so I challenge him.
That's kind of our running thing. Kind of like how Carol Burnett had the tugging of the year. I don't know the date.
All right.
Yeah. So it's March 12th. I was really caught off guard because they're releasing a new drug onto
into the market,
called Zohydro. It is 10 times stronger than Vicodin. Vicodin and other drugs that people like Oxy that they use they inject is cut with like Tylenol and some other things, and so if you OD on it, it's awful. It's an awful sickness. Whereas this new stuff, it's just pure drugs. Like, so it's like, I guess I'm assuming like, snorting, pure cocaine.
Did you say snutting?
I said snutting.
That's gross.
That's horrible. Who wants to do that?
I don't know what snutting is.
One of these pills can kill an infant, just like that. Really, really dangerous. So it has no Tylenol in it, so it can be crushed and easily injected. And then, so I thought, of course, the USDA is saying this is totally fine and it's a good thing to have. And then I was reading more into the article, and it said that the U.S. consumes 84% of the entire world's oxy. Just America uses 84%. So only the other 16% of the world uses oxy. We use 80.
Oxycontin.
Which is 84%. It's a painkiller.
Should I be taking notes on this?
I'm just like,
I don't have a pen.
And then you talk to me about, and then of course you talk about the idea of not having marijuana legalized. It's like so you're going to have a drug on the market that in one pill can kill a child, can easily be snorted and injected into your body because it's not cut with anything.
Yeah.
We already use 84% of the world's oxy, and we're the largest abuser of OxyContin by a long shot. And so then you're going to tell me that this plant that grows is somehow some horrible detriment.
The marijuana plant.
Yeah, it's some horrible detriment to society. I don't know, the game that's been played for us, by pharmaceutical companies and the government in this situation really bothers me tremendously, because I just don't like the idea that I can't go smoke a joint, but I can go and get this 10 times stronger than Vicodin via my doctor, crush it up and snort it if I want to, and sell pills on the street. It's illegal, obviously, but it's easier accessible than marijuana is.
Well, let me ask you something.
Bothers me.
They said that one pill can kill a child, right? How many joints would it take to kill a child?
That's what I'm saying.
Do we know? Have we had those tests?
First of all,
have we taken infants?
A child can't consume. I mean, unless a baby goes over and starts chewing on a weed that's marijuana, maybe. But I can see a baby getting a pill off a counter and putting that in its mouth and it dissolving slowly and that killing it.
Well, I think Joe Rogan talked about there's this thing called an LD50 test, right? So
that was me.
Okay, fine. You and I talked about it, and also Joe Rogan has talked about it because he's a big, huge advocate for marijuana. And he said that there were some LD50 tests done on animals, but they didn't die from the marijuana. They died from the fact that it was an enclosed environment of a glass cage, and they suffocated because they filled it with smoke and all the oxygen
was gone,
was used up, and they basically asphyxiated. They didn't die because they were high.
And let alone the LD50 test is just the most horrible test. They just take an animal and just give it the most of anything to see how long it takes to die. Pump their stomach full of toothpaste, pert shampoo, whatever it is, and just see how long it takes them to die. Oh, okay, well, we'll put the levels at you shouldn't consume it because it could do this to you because it killed this dog or whatever. It's like, I mean, we're talking about one thing that's just worse than another. The LD50 test is one of the most horrible.
Now, Terry, when you were younger, did you think that we were going to have a society where somebody's like, they could sell you a pill over the counter and one pill could kill your kid?
I never gave that any thought, to be honest with you. This conversation is killing me right now. I'm just going back and forth with listening. I feel like a ping pong ball going back and forth.
You can sit on that side.
Killing me in a good way. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know. There's a contradiction that's going on there that really bothers me, and I don't think a lot of people see it. Again, I don't think we're bright. We're sheep in so many ways.
Yeah.
And the idea, I mean, it's easy for me to get that kind of like young 19-year-old mindset that's kind of like fuck the system. I don't care what you say or do to me. I'm gonna smoke pot if I want to. You can do whatever.
Mine's on vibrate.
I like to put my phone on vibrate.
Terry, you're a good man because I don't think ahead like that at all. Obviously, I'm gonna blame you anyways and say I'm just too excited. I forgot to turn my phone off.
I haven't heard that with headphones on.
Yeah,
that's a loud ringer.
It's a nice one. I don't know. I can see why people would screw the system, screw everything. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I can see why a libertarian kind of slant to social aspects of our society are so appealing. It's appealing to me. It's just like I can do whatever I want. If I want to go snort one of these pills, I guess I can. You should allow me to do that if that's what I want to do. If I want to smoke pot, if I want to try heroin, I would never advocate doing that. I'm just saying that I should be able to make those choices for myself and not have somebody tell me I can't. Especially with the plant in the ground. I'm really obviously focused on this marijuana thing.
Yes, you are. You really are.
I'm just saying it's just really bothering me when we have these two huge contradictions. That's just my.
You know what bothers me the most about the marijuana being illegal is that hemp is illegal. The hemp plant, which looks a lot like marijuana, but you can't get high from it. And there's so many benefits to hemp. You can make clothing from hemp. You can make house building materials from hemp. You can use hemp for protein powder. There's all these awesome things from hemp, but we can't do it because crazy politics. Speaking of crazy politics, I'm just going to slide it in there real quick before you mention anything else about current events. I got to watch the end of House of Cards. Do you ever watch?
No, I don't.
Do you watch any TV at all?
I watch Andy Griffith.
Amen, man. That's a good show. I love Andy Griffith.
Family Guy. I watch.
Did you watch MASH? You like MASH?
I never really got into MASH.
Okay.
Never got into MASH. It's a great show.
Hawkeye Pierce, B.J. Honeycutt,
like
Spear Chucker Jones.
I had a good friend of mine who was given the MASH compilation thing, and I was like talking one day about how much I liked MASH, and she's like, "Oh, do you want some DVDs?" And I was like, "Whoa, if you're not going to watch them, sure." She hands me this shrink-wrapped perfect thing, and it opens up, and it's every single episode of MASH, behind-the-scenes footage, and the movie MASH the show is made off of. And it's still sitting in plastic on my counter.
For like 20 years? Was that on?
Yeah.
20?
And so many shows went off of that. If you think about there was a doctor that was on that show who went home early, and they made an offshoot of that show. There was a couple different shows that came off of MASH that were kind of like...
Yeah, they didn't do very well. They didn't do as well at all.
No.
Like MASH did, but...
Yeah, but I'm a huge Alan Alda fan. That's probably why I like MASH so.
Yeah, The House of Cards. Yes. I finished watching that and talking about politics and how...
Did that not just fucking blow your mind? How good was that?
It blew my mind in the regards that I thought if our politics truly is in any way, shape, or form as manipulative and as such a chess match like that is,
it's screwed.
We are in deep trouble.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
deep
right.
trouble. Just because the majority of the time people are figuring out a way to get over on somebody else, and how could I get Terry to side with me on a subject even though Terry hates me,
Right.
and in that show these people have these other people who hate them, and yet they find a way to get them on their side, to vote on a bill, to do whatever, to manipulate.
And it's just the idea behind manipulating people to the point where you're willing to give them what they want to get what you want. And so you want to be whip? Okay. These two other guys are in line, have been in Congress for 10 years. We're gonna find a way to push them to the side so you become whip. And of course that's why you're in Congress, because you want to keep gaining power and prestige. And so you're going to give me a 10-year gig after I've just gotten to Congress. I mean, think about it's almost like one of those things where you're taking advantage of people's most primal kind of nature.
Yeah,
that's what I want. I would like to be whip someday. I would like to be whatever. And so why not get the short track? I don't like you, but if you can help me get to where I want to be 9 years early,
right?
Okay. You're giving me what I want. I'm giving you what you want. It makes sense, and I can see how somebody would talk themselves into doing that. But to me, it's more of the money issue. I think
sounding like Stewie Griffin.
Stewie Griffin.
Stewie.
Oh, he's from Family Guy.
That's right.
I've never seen that show.
He likes getting whipped too. By his mother.
He's the baby, right?
Yes.
I told my wife showed me a pair of underwear the other day.
Mom.
The maniacal baby. God, that's a hilarious show. Hilarious show.
My wife showed me a pair of underwear the other day. She goes, "Should I get these?" And they said, "The pair of
Did
underwear."
It say insert here?
No, on the back it said it's not going to spank itself.
Oh,
I thought that was
very.
She was laughing and it was in mockery because she would never buy that. But I thought it was awesome. I should totally buy it for her.
Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday or Happy Hanukkah, whatever.
To me.
Yeah, to you.
To me.
Yeah. Oh, what else you got for
that was my biggest peeve that I had going on for the last 3 or 4 days that I've been stewing over.
Some of the things that I've read about, that I've heard about, but I don't have a lot of details. But there's a lot of craziness going on in the Ukraine still. I heard that Russia has sunk boats so that we can't get in. I mean, there's some really extreme measures that are being taken right now, and it had people that I work with really freaking out. And every time I'd get relief from a post and go to another one, they'd be, "Get ready for World War III, man." I thought, "Are you really seriously that it's getting that bad?" He goes, "If the U.S. if Russia is sinking their own boats so that no other battleships can come into that harbor or bay or wherever or get through that pass, that's pretty significant."
Well, especially when you have Putin putting in troops and then saying to the international press, "There's no Russian troops in there," and yet you can go there and watch thousands and thousands of Russian troops. And so it's like this plausible deniability thing where it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about." In the meantime, things behind the curtain are happening. Yeah. That's the scary part. I keep hearing people talk about what a non-starter it is, how he's just totally fucking blown it by doing this because the international community is not going to allow this to happen. It's not just us. Europe, the whole European Union, including the country itself, the main part of the government, everybody is against him. And so he's going to have the world against him pretty much. Maybe China. I guess China might have his back, but
crazier things have happened.
Yeah, and wars have started for a lot
less
for sure.
So,
yeah, that's great. And then this damn plane, wherever this plane is at,
from what was it, Indonesia,
Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, and it's been 5 days and they can't find. They still have absolutely no trace of it.
I say UFO.
That's what I said.
I'm just going to go right off the hip. I'm going to say UFO abduction.
At work, I said that.
Is the Bermuda Triangle anywhere near that?
No, it's down by Florida.
Close, yeah.
Maybe there's another one.
It's by Bermuda.
I know. It was a joke.
They had on the news last night that I guess one of the NBC newsmen, they were traveling over the body of water there. I forget the body of water, but they only covered like 30 square miles. It took them 8 hours to do that. And they've got like 10 or 12 countries involved covering 10,000 square miles. And in 8 hours' time, they only conquered like 30 miles. That's enormous.
Yeah.
That's enormous, an enormous area that, just finding a needle in a haystack. My God.
Well, Mrs. Todd brought up the fact that I can't believe nobody's...
Before you say that,
all right, fine.
can you be a little bit closer, just a little bit closer to your mic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. So you're Mrs. who?
Mrs. Todd.
Oh, I know that lady.
She brought up the fact that she couldn't believe that nothing has been found, not anything that's floating. I thought, when you're in a plane and you're looking down at an ocean, trying to find a tiny little orange speck, because it would look like the head of a needle if you're up in the air in a plane and you're flying over massive amounts of water. I mean, pretty soon, you staring at a huge group of body of water like that, your eyes start to mess with your head. You could have easily seen something and not.
That's my issue, though. If a plane crashes at 200-something miles an hour into the ocean, it's going to shatter into a gazillion pieces. There's going to be shit floating everywhere, whether it's clothing or stuff from the food cart or a seat cushion. Something's going to be floating around. And so even if you're flying over in a plane, looking at the ocean's blue, it's got white caps on it, you're going to see, your eye is going to be able to see something that seems foreign or man-made out of the ocean. And so that's why I don't think it crashed into the ocean, because I think you'd see something that it crashed, that floating around, or something would have washed ashore by now. Because I mean, it was in the wow, what is that? That bay, right there is.
This has every makings of going down as that lost squadron in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Nobody ever knew what happened to them, and I don't think they've ever found them.
They've never found them.
I mean, not even a plane in the water. They've never found one plane.
They've found a plane of similar make, but it wasn't that squadron.
How many were there? Like 7 or 8 of them?
Yeah, flying together. They stayed together and they went into the water together.
That's In Search of Leonard Nimoy. Remember that show?
Oh, I love that show.
Too.
Have you ever seen Cosmos with Carl Sagan back in the day?
That was a while ago.
Well, they just started a new one.
Billions and billions. Exactly. Something like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Johnny Carson used to make fun of him.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's got a brand new one out. It's a brand new Cosmos that they're starting up brand new. And I watched it with my kids on Monday night. Fantastic. I loved it. It was so good.
Sagan. He just passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Carl Sagan. Thoughtful, caring guy.
I remember Carson doing that. It was funny. I'm a big Carson fan.
Have you seen Jimmy Fallon on the Tonight Show yet?
I haven't watched him since he switched back to it's in New York now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
He is very talented.
Yeah,
he is very talented for. I was going to say for his age, but I mean for a young comedian, he's got it all.
Have you seen Neil?
He went up that ladder pretty damn quick.
I think he's fantastic. Have you seen him do like Neil Young impersonations?
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Neil Young and Dylan and David
my
Bowie
God,
and,
the best one my kids that I love is when he did lead singer of the Doors, blanking.
Morrison.
He did Morrison doing the Reading Rainbow theme from PBS.
He's good. I've yet to see him though since he's been to New York now.
It's really good. I mean, he's had some great people on. I think you're right. He's taking it to a whole different level. It's more fun, but at the same time, it is the Tonight Show, so it's still serious. But I had a friend who I played. They're huge Neil Young fans, and so I played them that one scene of him on the show, and she goes, So Neil Young's on Jimmy Fallon. And I said, no, that's Jimmy Fallon. And she goes, that can't be Jimmy Fallon. I said, no, that's him dressed up singing like Neil Young. And she goes, that can't be Jimmy Fallon. It's like she almost couldn't wrap her brain around it. And somebody asked him, I think in an interview, it said, how did you get that? And he said, I went to my office, and for an entire day straight, all I did was listen to...
You should bring it up. Bring it up on YouTube, and
we'll play it.
Wasn't he singing like something about hair?
Whip My Hair Back and Forth by Will Smith's daughter.
That's right.
Yeah, whip my hair back and forth. Oh, my God. I mean, he sat in the room and listened to one of Neil Young's albums over and over and over again, and then adapted it to that song. So like you said, talented, that to me is not something you can just do haphazardly.
No.
And he and Justin Timberlake doing the history of rap duos together, fantastic.
Yeah.
They're just fantastic.
That kind of thing is...
Of course, my favorite, I'm partial, but or biased, he's when he does the Barry Gibb talk
show. I bet. On Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, that was... He's got some good clips of that.
That's so good.
Him and Justin. Robin, what do you... Well, you have anything to say, Robin? No. That's all Justin ever says. It's funny. Then Barry Gibb came out the last time. That was cool.
I'm a huge diehard JT fan. He's one of my faves.
Yeah, I like the fact that somebody is that talented, has that much money, has been in so many things, and is still down to earth enough that he doesn't care to make shit out of himself.
Right. Well, think of all the things on Saturday. He's on Saturday Night Live all the time, and he's not a guest. He's just like he does stuff with for their video things when they do little skits. He just is part of it. Same thing with. Do you see a lot of movies?
I'm getting there.
Inside Llewyn.
I've never been a big movie guy, but
Inside Llewyn Davis. Have you seen the new Coen brother? About a folk singer.
No, did not see that.
Well,
it looks good.
It's supposed to be fantastic.
Is that based on a true story?
True story, and T-Bone Burnett does all the music for it.
Okay.
And so Justin Timberlake was at the studio where they were shooting, they were shooting behind the scenes, but they were also doing on the music.
Okay.
And in the movie, T-Bone Burnett had them play live while they shot the scene to make it more realistic, so they had to learn all the songs. Well, Justin Timberlake again was just in the studio. So can I just show up and just hang out? I don't have to do anything. I just want to be part of this. And so he sat around for a couple months with these guys and helped them sing these songs and produce these songs. And one time he's like, you know what? It would probably be really good with a little bit of bass vocals in the background. And the guys were like, well, what are we going to do? And, we don't have a bassist. And Justin's like, well, I'll sing as low as I can, and I'll just be back, but I'll sing low. And so he has a hoodie on, and he's holding his shirt, and he's singing way back here, but he's adding bass to it, and it sounds phenomenal. I mean, just like, can you imagine, like, my little Pinky, no talent. It's just, like, amazing.
Yeah.
Sing,
well, I think
dance.
the saying is he's got more talent in his little pinky than you do in your whole body. I think that's the
meant
saying.
toe or something. I don't know.
Speaking of getting back to Fallon, did you guys see the send-off for Jay Leno, his last show?
I didn't see it. Was it good?
Very, very emotional. That was one of the most emotional saying goodbyes that I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very emotional. I suggest you YouTube it.
Did he do the Tonight Show longer than Jimmy Carson did? Johnny Carson.
Johnny was there 30 years.
Oh, okay.
Jay was there 22.
Okay. Well, 22 years is a long time.
He was pushed out the door. I mean, he wasn't going to leave. 22. That's such an odd tenure.
But if you hear him interviewed about it,
25 has a better ring.
Yeah.
His interviewing though about it was. He's just kind of like, okay, so if they're ready to move on, so he didn't say a bad word. He likes Jimmy Fallon, so he didn't say a bad word about him. Yeah. But you could tell it was like you said, not something that he had planned on.
That was, I suggest you YouTube it. It's pretty, it'll grab you.
I will do that.
Grab your heartstrings.
All right. So, how long have you been doing? Before I get into
22 years. I'm kidding.
There was an article that I read on the computer that
on the internets.
Nice.
I'm sure it was old.
It might have been, but a guy was talking about how you could play for 3 days straight.
Oh, yeah.
And never repeat a song.
I got enough songs in my repertoire that, on an average night you're playing like maybe 35 songs.
Holy really?
I didn't realize that.
40, and I computed that a couple years back where if I would play Horse with No Name as the first song, you would not hear Horse with No Name again until, oh God, how many I did? It was well over like a day and a half where I would just play
it was
song after song after song.
When I read that, I thought
I took a lot of pride, and I still do.
That's awesome.
A lot of bands, a lot of them barely have 30 songs to their name.
Right.
So you get different stuff every time when I play. Granted, you got to do the requests and stuff like that. But,
sure.
I started a long time ago where I put a lot of time into this, and like before the night before the shows, I would put up a set list, what I wanted to do, first, second, and third set list, because I usually play 3 to 4 hours worth. But after the first hour, then the requests start coming in, and you just throw away the
second,
sheet
and the third.
2 and 3, and I saved them all, though. I still have them at home for whatever reason. I'm a pack rat when it comes to those things. But so next thing you know, you're ending your show with basically request after request. And then you throw in some of your favorites and the requests come again. That's kind of a typical evening. So I don't waste my time the night before. I used to change strings before every gig too. I mean, that got expensive, but...
Well, you have more than one guitar.
Well, looking back, now I do, but looking back, I'm thinking how stupid that was. How much time I spent before a show when those strings weren't dead to take off the very next day. Because I played a lot of back-to-back gigs. I still got a few. I don't do it as much as I used to, but there's a lot of things I've changed.
What's funny is if I ask people, excuse me, if they know you, have heard you play, or it's hard for them to associate exactly who you are, but they're like, that guy that plays at Java Creek, or you mean the guy that plays at Parlor City, or you mean the guy that plays here? And I'm like, yeah, that's him.
That would be him.
That's the guy who plays those places. You know.
I always bring up when somebody brings up your name, I'm like, the 12-string guitar. Did you hear the 12-string guitar? I love watching him play the 12-string guitar.
I hear a lot of people say you're the guy that plays the wreck of the Evan Fitzgerald. That's one of their favorite songs. I've always been associated with that song all my life, and I found out later. This is years ago, but I found out later that ship, The True Story, written by Gordon Lightfoot, who's going to be in town by in what 10 days?
10 days.
Yeah. That ship went down on my birthday, and I was singing that song for like 3 years. And one day I went to the library, and back when I was at UNI, early '80s, whatever, and that's when they had the microfiche or microfilm. Whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, and I looked up, and I was going through. I saw Newsweek and Time, and I was just reading a little story, and it's the same story that Gordon used as a guide or reference to write the song. When the date came around, November 10th, which is my birthday, I didn't know that for 3 years. And then when I found out it actually went down on my birthday, I was forever linked to it.
Yeah.
And I just did it more and more. That's the longest song I do that's in my repertoire.
And when did it go down again?
November 10th, 1975.
November 10th.
The hit came out in 1976, and I think it reached number 10 on the charts. 10? I don't think it wasn't number 1. Might have gotten to number 2. I don't know why 10 rings a bell. Maybe it's because of my birthday again. But
how long have you been playing then? If you were to pick a moment, maybe playing live to an audience, or did you start playing guitar long before that? I've been playing since
I was 18. I got my first guitar. I started late. Everything I've done in my life, I started late. The way I see it. But doing what I'm doing now, like you can come see me. I'll be at Parlor City on the 28th in this month, doing what I'm doing there, and that role I've been doing for this is my 18th year.
Wow.
And my goal was just to I didn't start till I was 34, 35.
Really?
And doing what I'm doing.
Sure.
And my goal was just, hey, let's just do 5 years, see what happens. Next thing you know, as long as people still want to hear me.
Well, that's the key, though. I mean, if people want to come hear you sing.
I like to think I got a good variety of, you don't want to be, what's the word? Not typecast, but pigeonholed. Of doing sometimes when you're just a soloist with an acoustic guitar, he's mellow, he can't rock, he can't, I can make a lot of noise on that thing.
Yeah, you can.
And I can go anywhere from, REO, ELO, and the next thing you're doing, I'm doing James Taylor. Then I'm going to do Lobo. I got to do the Bee Gees. I do America. And then all the balladeers, Gordon Lightfoot, Harry Chapin, John Denver. But then we go right back to Herman's Hermits,
What is your favorite song to play?
The Bee Gees are my favorite group.
Any song in particular?
The songs, there's a lot of them. Islands in the Stream is one of my favorites. I tend to do that a lot. I'm learning new stuff all the time. America's always been Ventura Highway. We just saw them, in fact, last Saturday in Tama, Meskwaki Casino.
Awesome. And, should we take a break and hear Islands in the Stream?
Islands in the Stream.
Let's do it. All right. We'll take a break.
Sounds good.
You're ready for some music. Enjoy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Baby,
love that song. It's a good song. Very good song. That was the, again, a number one hit for Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, written by the Bee Gees. And that was, I think, the top-selling country song, I think, of all time at the time. I don't know if it's been surpassed, but that was 30 years ago, believe it or not, 1983. I remember at UNI listening to that song for the first time, and the way Kenny Rogers sang it, I knew the Bee Gees there was an influence because it sounded like a Bee Gees song. You know, all the great artists. I mean, Elton John, if he wrote something, Billy Joel. You know, if you really follow them the way I do the Bee Gees, they have their own influence. ELO, Jeff Lynne is that way. ELO is that way a lot. And when the Traveling Wilburys came out, I knew that was an ELO influence. And sure enough, Jeff Lynne was behind all of that. Jeff Lynne was one of the most underappreciated, he's a superstar. But he's just underappreciated, I guess is the word.
So 18 years, you started when you were 35. That's when you and I started singing together forever ago. We were easy in our early 30s.
Now keep in mind, in the 20s.
We don't have voices like him, obviously.
True. Yeah.
I sang and did everything in the 20s, but I sang for free.
Oh,
so
sure.
I did a lot of that in the 20s and early 30s too. But
okay.
One day and the thing is, I always used other people's equipment other than my guitar. You know, I didn't even have cables, for God's sakes.
Sure.
And one day I just woke up. I can't even explain it, but one day I woke up. I went downtown, bought an amp, bought a mic stand, bought a mic, bought all the ingredients. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. I plugged in, turned the volume up. I'm not a techie guy by no means, so.
We know that from your flip phone.
That's a new flip phone, by the way.
Fantastic.
My second flip phone.
God forbid you buy a smartphone.
There you go. There you go.
Well, you must have known inherently that you had something to offer the world. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone down and done that, right?
I love entertaining. I'm going to miss entertaining. When I get too old to do this, I will miss that. It's fun to move people with music. I get moved, and then when I see I'm moving everyone in front of me,
it's going to be wonderful.
It's just a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
I've been meaning to bring my dad to come see you because I know my dad would just.
Oh, he hasn't seen him yet.
No, my dad saw Terry play at my wedding reception for sure.
Right.
And he sang along with everything. So I was been meaning to bring him to something and just
a long time ago.
hang out.
Yeah.
How long have you been
No,
married?
it wasn't that long ago.
How long have you been
13 years.
13
This year. This November will be 13.
I tell you what, and that is a hell of a.
That's a lot of shows that I've had in 13 years.
Yes.
Not sure what.
Yeah.
Well, and I got to sing at my wedding.
Right,
That's right. You let me.
What song was it?
In your eyes by
Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel.
Right?
There you go. Yeah.
So I played the guitar. You sang.
Yep.
So this is what he did.
I remember that now.
He comes up to me. He goes, Matt, could you possibly learn a song? I said, well, dude, I have a guitar. I've plucked the strings a few times.
You've taken lessons. You knew at least something of what you were doing.
I took a couple lessons, and he goes, do you think you know enough to learn a song? If I were to give you a song to learn. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'll try. I drove my wife crazy because all I did was play that song over and over and over and over. And I'm glad it came out at your reception. I'm glad that it worked. And then to have Terry follow me, and you had very nice words for me. You were like, hey, that was awesome. I can't and I said, well, that was my very first time ever playing a song in front of people.
I do remember that now, yeah.
He said the same thing to me.
And Terry goes, hey, man, if you wanna grab your guitar and come up and sing with me, which I thought, that is super generous. I am
Did
so...
you have your guitar that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, I just thought that is so amazingly generous. No. I know one song, Terry.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you asked me, but no. And the performances after that, I've come and seen you a couple times at different bars, and the Chrome Horse was another one that I've seen you at. And you've asked, there's a guy in the audience, and you're like, hey, come on up. And he came up and he sang with you. And I can't remember, I don't know the guy's name, but I thought,
I have a lot of guest singers.
that is awesome.
If I know they know the song, I mean, it's not karaoke. You got to know the words.
Right.
That's another topic altogether. But,
do you have groupies like that?
What? That
that follow you around and want to sing
God,
with
yes.
you?
Oh God, yes.
And come up on the stage and sing with you?
I got a few through the years. Some are good. Some we just bring up because they love the song and they help me out. It's all fun.
Sure.
The bottom line is you got to have fun. But then you get some uninvited people that I really don't know, and they
they work their way up on stage.
At one time, I thought I'd experiment and bring an extra mic and have it on alongside me, and that just ended up attracting drunks. And that lasted about a month, and I just kept that at home. Now I practice on that one.
Oh God, that sounds terrible.
Now with your,
I do a lot more though than bars. I mean, there's wineries. We do wedding receptions. A lot of private parties. A lot of them.
I saw you at Cedar River Brewery is where I saw you. Winery, sorry.
Cedar Ridge Winery.
Cedar Ridge Winery. Great bourbon, by the way.
Yeah. We get out and about. I'm originally from Dubuque, so I'm getting up there a lot more lately. The last couple of years, I've been hounding down some of those venues. In fact, this Friday I'm going to be in Centralia, Iowa, which is right outside Dubuque. You got Dubuque. Last Friday I was in Asbury, so you got Dubuque, Asbury, Centralia, all going west, young man. So anyway, and they're fun places.
Now, with all of your many years of playing the guitars and studying these awesome songs, have you ever put together your own CD? Have you ever attempted to write music for yourself?
I've got a couple of those too. It's just never been a drive or passion of mine. There's just too many other songs I'd rather learn and get satisfaction out of than. Lord knows I've had enough experiences to write stuff down, but it's just never been a drive of mine. And I attempted to do a CD. This was about 12 years ago or so, and it just. I'm such a perfectionist, and every time I would hear a take, there was just some flaws or whatever that I wanted to redo. And after a while, the bill you're paying, time is money when it comes to those things. And I just didn't see any end in sight. So I just assumed put that kind of money towards equipment, a new guitar or whatever. And I never did really go back to that. And I know I'll probably regret that someday. I should get something down that's I got like 4 cassette tapes at home that were hours and hours of material, including Islands in the Stream, by the way. And Calypso was on there, The Wreck was on there. Songs that, you just can't do 3 or 4 times in one single take. You got to come back the next day and redo it, I mean, it just wears your voice out. Mm-hmm. But, and it takes incredible energy. That's why, getting off the subject here, but the slow ballads and stuff, I really prefer those because these high energy songs, they take a lot out of you. And if you don't have it in you that night, too bad. You still got to do it,
Right.
And it might not be your best performance of that song, but you try to get by.
So having that experience, do you have a different take on, when we hear about musicians canceling a concert or something like that, do you have a lot more empathy for what they're having to do day in and day out and what they have to go through to put together a good album?
You mean like a name performer like Tom Petty or something?
Yeah, sure.
I often wondered how often these guys, my biggest fear is getting sick, getting a cold. A simple cold goes to my throat, I lose my voice. Without a voice, I can strum, you could have leprosy, you can strum all day, but if you can't sing, you're just another guitar player.
Right.
At least that's how I always, my guitar playing accompanies my singing. I always thought of myself as a singer first.
Awesome.
And the guitar came after that, but.
Did you discover your voice at a pretty young age?
I always liked to sing. I always mimicked all my favorite artists growing up. And I still do today. Of course, all the artists growing up, not a lot of them are around anymore. But
that's why you need Sirius Stereo, so you can have 70s on Sirius Stereo. You can listen to all your favorites.
It's usually pop and rock is what I go by, and it's 70s and 60s covers is pretty much. A little bit of country. I might look country when I dress, but I'm very little country. I'll maybe do 50 country
Well, wasn't
songs.
John Denver kind of considered country at one point, kind of country-ish, or not really?
He was, in an interview he had once, I think he labeled himself Western. He wasn't country, he wasn't pop, he wasn't rock. He was Western. He had a Western influence, whatever that means, home on the range, I don't know, cowboys, Indians, Western, Montana skies. In fact, that's one of his songs, Montana Skies, something like that, name of the song. Yeah, so...
well, that's my favorite song. That's my favorite song of yours is Rocky Mountain High by John Denver. That's my favorite.
That's to me, that's I think a pop song, but he considered it Western because of the Rocky
Interesting.
Mountains.
Can we hear that song?
And yet
can I request that song?
He won, I think, Country Entertainer of the Year in the mid-'70s.
Really?
And so that was kind of interesting. He never considered himself country, but yet he won Entertainer of the Year, CMA Artist of the Year, something like that.
Wow.
All this is well documented on YouTube, by the way.
Well, hey, why don't we take a pause and we'll listen to Rocky Mountain High? You cool with that?
I'm down with that. I'm totally down with that.
This just happens to be it's now the state song of Colorado. Of course, all these things happen after, posthumously, is that the word? Mm-hmm. All these things, Ron Santo's in the Hall of Fame now. Not when he was living, but just when he died. Let's put him in now. None of that makes any sense to me. You know what I mean? We're talking baseball again there, Matt. So that's not... okay, we had that discussion earlier, so... All right. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. He climbed Cathedral Mountains, he saw silver clouds below. Saw everything as far as you can see. And they say that he got crazy once and he tried to touch the sun. And he lost a friend but kept the memory. Now he walks in quiet solitude, the forest and the stream, seeking grace in every step he takes. His eyes just turn inside himself to try to understand the serenity of a clear blue mountain lake. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Now his life is full of wonder, but his heart still knows some fear of a simple thing he cannot comprehend. Why they try the tear
Rocky Mountain High, the Colorado Rocky Mountain High. I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. Friends around the campfire and everybody's high. Rocky Mountain High. Rocky Mountain High, Rocky Mountain High, Rocky Mountain High, Rocky Mountain High. Peace, my friends.
So so you always sang, what was your like growing up when you first started hearing the radio? What were the things that really you gravitated towards? Pop kind of music?
Just pop, pop rock ballads. Back then, that's kind of all you had, pop rock and country.
Like a big Beatles fan, Elvis fan, everybody kind of thing? Or
Yeah. There was no rap back then, and there wasn't any really disco back then. We're talking early 70s now. Singer-songwriters were huge in the 70s.
Sure.
And you can understand the songs, and you can understand, the lyrics. You knew what they were about for the most part. Can't really say that about some of the stuff today, but
auto-tune voices and things like that.
Some people say I'm stuck in that's okay. I'm stuck in the 70s. I keep alive songs you don't really hear on the radio that often.
But
unless you're listening to a oldies.
But you know what? There's a
purity.
reason.
There's a purity there. That's why.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a reason why in modern movies. I'm trying to think of the one that we talked about the other day where Jarhead. It's Jarhead, right? And they're over in Iraq, and a helicopter flies overhead, and they have Vietnam music playing, and they're like, "Fuck! Don't we have enough good fucking music for our own generation war?" No, because this music sucks nowadays, and there's a reason why you keep going back to those types of songs because they're so much more meaningful.
Right.
It's not like I don't like songs today,
Right.
but there's something about the songs of that era that had so much more meaning. And you play those songs in a military venue or a war movie, and they ring. I mean, they just ring
those songs
true.
were written about those times too.
Yeah.
Right.
For the most part,
I love that movie because Thomas Newman did all the soundtrack music for it. Huge music producer, movie music-wise.
Yeah, we know.
And then Public Enemy. Public Enemy is a couple Public Enemy songs on the Jarhead soundtrack that are fantastic.
So Thomas Newman and
Public Enemy.
Yeah,
it's quite the juxtaposition that's happening when you have rap.
Juxtaposition?
And what did I say?
I don't know.
You're sounding better.
Juxtaposition?
Juxtaposition of rap and Thomas Newman music. It's fantastic. Jarhead's up there. Good movies that have it's like Forrest Gump. Movies that have like such great soundtracks that the movie's really good, but the music just can pull you back into that time frame. It's just awesome. I love that.
Forrest Gump soundtrack. In fact, I think of the Forrest Gump soundtrack and I think, yeah, Terry could pretty much play everything that's on the Forrest Gump soundtrack.
Exactly.
Like I could just put that soundtrack on and have it playing in the background if I'm cleaning the house all day. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a man can clean the house all day. We can do that. We can do that. It's a modern day miracle. We can do that. And I don't care.
I listen to our podcast while I clean the house, but that's just me. If you want to listen to music and
You do? You like to listen to my voice that much?
That's
You're
right.
so sweet.
I love it.
You're so sweet.
You're a big sweet
How
guy.
many were you, Terry, in I mean, you've been playing since you were 18. Did you seek out bands to be in, or did you always like the solo aspect?
I was in a group in college that we called ourselves the Strangers, and we had a few shows. But the thing is, we didn't form until my senior year in school, so I was the first one to leave because I graduated, and I moved out of town. And the other two two of the middle guys went to Nashville. To this day, I don't know whatever became of them. I remember their names.
Do you remember their names?
Yes, I do. And Ty Billings out of Waterloo, and Daryl Fox. He was a singer, and Ty Billings was one of the most talented musicians I ever ran into. Still today, he could pick out anything by ear and on the guitar. In fact, he was the guy that sang. The first time I ever heard of "Turn the Page" by Bob Seger, a song that I also do. Written in Iowa, by the way, and the second verse was written in a restaurant in Dubuque, Iowa, my hometown, but that's another story. Todd Billings sang that at Poor Richards on the Hill in Cedar Falls, which still stands, I believe. Huh. And I remember him doing that. I go, who sings that song? That's a great song. I didn't know Bob Seger really at the time. And I knew, Night Moves and Hollywood Nights, but not Turn the Page, because that goes back to, doesn't that go back to like 71, 72? It's an old song.
Yeah.
And Night Moves came later, but he told me Bob Seger, and it was a real simple song too. E minor, D, A, C, that's all the chords. And so every time I play that song, I think of Ty Billings. And then the fourth guy was a harmonica player, and his name was Todd. And I forget his last name.
Great name.
Todd.
Love that name.
Yeah, if only you could play the harmonica.
If only. Now, I got
an old picture of our group, too, by the way.
Oh.
And I had a 12-string back then, too.
You should send that to us. We'll put it on the website.
It was a Washburn.
It'd be great.
It's an 8x... We had an 8x10 picture of us, and I'd have to find it, but I know I still have it.
I have an uncle who's a professional harmonica player. Harpin' Johnny is what he goes by. If you want to Google him, you can see him. He plays with all kinds of bands all over the nation, all over the world, really, now. But
those are cool instruments.
He loves the harmonica. And I mean, it's one of those things. It reminds me of Terry, because it's sometimes when you're like, oh, it's my uncle, so let's go hear my uncle play. And so I remember when I first introduced my wife to him, he was in Santa Cruz, and somebody said, hey, Uncle John is down at Santa Cruz playing some music. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was, of course, thinking, oh, well, maybe he's just down hanging out with some friends, right? We walk down there, huge amphitheater. He's in the middle of it, crowds surrounding him, and I kind of wedge our way to the front so I can see him. And I was like, yeah, that's my Uncle John. And like he's playing harmonica, and at the end, he's like, hey, Todd, what are you doing here? Jumped off the stage, came down, gave me a big hug. Because he was the youngest of my mom's siblings, and so he was like a little boy when my parents got married. And so I see he's like, and to me, he's like in his early 50s, so we're closer to age.
Right.
So, but a very laid back guy. But you watch him play, it's kind of like, oh, shit, that's my uncle. And they're a professional musician. It kind of catches you off guard. So, I mean, you in live music, like concerts, you don't like going to concerts, but live music.
I don't. I really don't.
Like concerts?
Mm-hmm. I don't because, one, I don't like crowds. I'm very anti big crowd person. And I like it's when it's too many people. I've been to one really good concert that I really enjoyed, and it's going to escape me.
You don't.
My ex-wife took me to him.
A guitar player,
yeah.
Eric Clapton.
Eric Clapton.
Okay.
Went to Eric Clapton.
Can't believe that name escaped you, but
yeah.
How many of you?
Poor guy. Yeah, it was too many beers.
Yeah, but in that venue, when I listened to him play, it was awesome. It was great. But then I got yanked out of the concert to go pick up her brother. So the one concert I got to go to, I had to leave early. But a lot of times when I have been around a concert environment, the music is so loud, I can't hear the person sing. It's so loud because everybody has to be able to hear it, that I can't have a conversation with somebody, which is why I love venues like yours so much more than huge concerts, because it's relaxing, it's comfortable, and it's extremely entertaining.
But I think the idea behind a concert, though, is different in the sense of when I go to a concert because I want to see that person do the songs that I like, and I'm not there to have a conversation with the person next to me. I can do that in between songs, but I have yet to see a concert that I didn't think was just flipping fantastic. I saw Janet Jackson in concert, crazy good. Chili Peppers, incredible. John Mellencamp. I mean, I've seen so many people in concert because I like the idea. It's probably like a celebrity fame kind of thing, but it goes towards you too, Terry, is like I like feeling like I'm in the presence of talent. Like I get the chance to in person see somebody be the best that they can be in what they do in that little niche they have in life.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like my Uncle John. Same thing. I'm just like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. Same thing with Terry. I'm like, I like being in the presence of somebody who's playing something pure of who they are, but it's also really, really good. You know what I mean? It's not shitty.
That, and you and I have tried. We've tried a little bit. We've put just a tiny little bit of effort into learning a guitar. I mean, me picking up a guitar and doing some lessons with it, I can.
Have you played much since that?
Very little, but I'm bringing it back.
Okay.
I'm bringing it back.
Same
that
guitar?
same guitar. I have the same guitar.
Same strings.
Same strings. Pretty sure same strings. Same guitar, same strings. But they have like this thing called Rocksmith. You know, when they came out with the Xbox, they had this thing called Guitar Hero.
Right.
And it really angered me because it was this toy guitar, and and people are really into it and they're learning these songs, but they're playing a controller. They're not learning a skill. And there was a famous musician that was challenged to a Guitar Hero playoff with this gamer, and he failed miserably because he's so used to playing his guitar. And I at that time I thought, you know what, I wish they would come out with a game that you could plug a real guitar into the game console and really truly learn an instrument in a game format. And now they have it. It's called Guitar or Rocksmith. So I have Rocksmith. I recently got it.
Okay.
My kids got to watch the Evan Stock Band the other day, and they're still talking about, oh my God, Dad, that was so cool to watch musicians play. I'm like, see, if you practice your guitar, if you want to learn the drums, I'll figure it out. We'll figure that out. We'll get you lessons.
Evan did start when he was 8, so your kids are a perfect age.
Yeah. But they loved seeing that, and I was never influenced like that when I was a kid. I never went and saw live musicians. I was always inundated with music solely from the radio. So if I ever heard somebody play live and they were playing a song that I knew and loved from the radio, and it didn't sound like the radio version, I'd be like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's live. I don't get it. It sucks. You don't sound anything. Because I know the words, and I know when the next verse comes in, and I'm ready to sing it, and it's off, and now I'm not enjoying it.
And that's how I could always tell if I liked somebody in concert. If I thought they were a good artist, is when I saw them in concert, I enjoyed myself just as much as when I listened to him on the radio. Elton John was at Carver, geez Louise, 15 years ago. I mean, I sang myself absolutely hoarse because everything just sounded perfect. I mean, it sounded just like a record.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get enough of it.
Well, I think you have artists like that, and then you have artists that, like the young generation of artists that we have nowadays. And Justin Timberlake would be a young artist, but he is not in this category. There's some people that have just enough talent or just enough of the right look that they bounce out these records.
Right.
And they don't have that real, true, unique talent inside them.
It's almost like they're too young to be. It's like you have to have a little bit of life experience. I think Tammy Jason is a country singer.
She'll be on this Saturday.
She'll be on this Saturday. She'll be on the podcast. Has some background, and she lost the Texaco Country Music Challenge to some small teeny bopper 16-year-old. And some of Tammy's songs are about real pain and losses she's had in her life that are why they're so good, besides her being talented.
Yeah, the very first song on her album was written about her brother who passed away at a young age, and they together at a very young age, they both decided we want to be a duet. That's what we want to do when we grow up, is to sing together on stage. That's our dream. And so when he passed away, I believe he was a teenager when he died.
Kind of a tragic accident.
Her first song that she wrote was, "If I Could Find a Road Back to You, if I could find a way back to that time." Oh my God! When you know there's a backstory to that song and you're listening to it, it almost brings tears to your eyes.
It's a heartbreaker.
It creates that emotion when you're listening to it, which is something that when you sit there and you listen to you sing and it's soulful, and it's deep, and it's resonating, and you could just, it's almost like people who smoke will get this. Todd won't get this. But people who smoke and they know the difference between a really shitty cigarette and a really great cigar, and they're sitting back and they're enjoying a really comforting, relaxing smoke. That's almost how I equate your voice. Because I used to smoke. Very smooth, very relaxing at times, almost hypnotic.
Music is, if you think about it, every single song, 99% of them is either about, first of all, music is emotion. Second of all, 99% of the songs are either finding love or losing love. In the 1% you'll have grandma's feather bed or something, But it's either finding love or losing love. That's what 99% of the songs are all about, if you really think about it. All your favorite hits, every time you listen to a song, think about, is this finding love or losing love? And then if it's not, then you found that 1% niche that I can only think of grandma's featherbed right now.
I have Sgt. Pepper's album is the one album that, to me, it's my favorite album of all time, of all history, because as a kid, I remember
share your sentiments, by the way.
Who would?
I said million share your sentiments on that.
I remember, because part of it was I loved, the music was so unique, and I was 10 or 11 when my dad introduced me to it, and I remember putting headphones on. I mean, you think I was born forever ago. But I remember putting headphones on, playing the album, and reading all the words to all the songs as they played and learning all of them. And so even to this day, if I hear Within You, Without You on the radio, I can easily take myself back, way back, to a very tearful, like, realizing what the words were talking about, and me going, oh my God, this is such a heavy song, even as a 10 or 12-year-old. Not that I was a deep person at 10 or 12, but I remember the music is intense, the words are very poignant, and it can strike you in a certain way. And I think because I moved around so much, it goes back to the love and loss thing. Being a divorced kid, going back between parents, I have significant times in my life that are kind of poignant, and that's one of them. Him going, hey, listen to this album, and every time you listen to this, think about me, and that kind of stuff, right? And so what's good is I don't associate it with pain anymore. I associate it with this experience. And I mean, to me, I can't imagine a song or an album that is more unique than Sgt. Pepper's. I'm sure there's other ones out there. That's my opinion. But I mean, to think of the Beatles and what they did from the very beginning to that album, I was always like, pot's a good thing.
You got the Beatles here and everyone else, even my beloved Bee Gees, everyone else below. The Beatles are like the Beatles are number one.
I just think they were so unique, and I mean, I used to be like this Elvis hater, and I'm not anymore.
Everyone down here.
There you go. Yeah, this is the reason I don't.
Well,
I dislike.
He created the format, and everybody has followed his format.
Well, he made it work for 30 years. That is so incredibly tough to do, And he was just one of the guys. His persona was. He was never really the star. He made his guests the stars.
Right. And he didn't try.
And he didn't mind looking like a fool.
It just came so natural to him.
Yeah. Yeah, very unique guy.
I'm sorry.
Now you lost your train of thought.
I interrupted you. Are you okay? Do you know where you're at?
Set. No, I don't even need to go on where I was talking about. I mentioned the Beatles. I was just going to say that people to me come to me like,
we sense there was a lull there.
So. Oh, sorry. People have. Are you a Beatles fan or are you a Elvis fan? And I don't dislike Elvis, but I know that he took a lot of his music from African American music and made it very popular. Yeah. And I don't mind that. And he was groundbreaking in some of the things that he did. I think I'm more of a Beatles guy, I think, because they were very much unique and amongst themselves. I mean, again,
you don't think the Beatles were ever influenced by anybody else?
Oh, sure they were, but they didn't literally steal music. That's my issue. That's my issue.
You know who the Beatles were?
Who?
The Beatles. The Everly Brothers. Those harmonies is what John and Paul were really attracted to.
Have you heard the new Everly Brothers CD?
That's an incredible tribute to the Everly Brothers.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, everyone had their own idols and who they looked up to, and I never heard that until Phil Everly passed away a couple months ago. And what a tribute. They were the Beatles.
Yeah.
That's quite a statement. Quite a compliment.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
I mean, everybody grows up and they hear something, they're influenced by somebody, and to whatever extent Elvis stole music, he was around that stuff and he was influenced by that stuff, and whether he.
Oh, and I don't think he was a vindictive person who was trying to steal things. I'm not saying I should have prefaced that better. I just think that he wasn't. I mean, in the sense of him being a solely unique person, for sure.
Yeah.
But a solely unique musician, I don't think so.
So I think he's a solely unique performer.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm almost sad at the fact that the Beatles and Elvis are constantly thrown together as, well, who's your favorite, Elvis or the Beatles?
Right.
I mean, they were extremely talented in different ways.
Extremely different.
And extremely different, and they just came out at the same time.
And the Beatles are huge Elvis fans, whereas Elvis had Nixon spy on the Beatles while they were here in the 70s.
Really?
Elvis was before the Beatles.
Yeah, Elvis was before the Beatles, so he was I think he was just probably paranoid of somebody coming on his turf. But Norah Jones and I think it was Johnny Armstrong from Green Day did an Everly's Brother album together.
No, I did not know that.
And they did it right before, you're right, he passed away, because that's when I heard a lot of those things about Paul McCartney talking about the Everly Brothers.
Yeah.
So I think it's Johnny Lee Armstrong and Norah Jones did a cover kind of their covers.
Those harmonies, it's funny when someone passes and you really start paying attention to what they actually did. And I started listening to more and more Everlys from that moment on, and boy, the harmonies were just unbelievable.
And see, I'm so unfamiliar with the Everly Brothers. I think I can recognize their songs when I hear them.
They were born in Chicago, but they were raised in Iowa for a while.
Of course they were.
Yeah, then they moved to Nashville and started cutting records. And they were considered country at the first take. But if you listen to their songs, I don't consider them country at all. They're like soft rock, pop. They're not country. Bye Bye Love is not country. But yet you'll see it on a country album.
So is it Dream?
Yes.
Dream? That's them. Dream. Okay. All right. So I at least I know their songs.
Yeah.
Because I'm not familiar with their.
Right there.
See, that's the cool thing about this podcast is if you're listening to the podcast and if hopefully you're entertained, but when you like right now, I really didn't pay much attention to the Everly Brothers, but after this podcast is done recording, I'm going to look into that.
YouTube,
I am going to be checking it out.
For sure.
There's a ton of videos. YouTube it's endless. I love YouTube. I can sit for hours looking at some of that stuff. What's funny about YouTube, you'll get on and you'll look up the Everly Brothers. Then on the right-hand side, there's like 20 other videos, either with Everly Brothers or they were on the Johnny Carson show, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll just click on that. So now you see the Everly Brothers on Johnny Carson. Then you got 20 more videos.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Jonathan Winters was with Johnny Carson that night on such, has nothing to do with the Everly. Now you're watching Jonathan Winters stand up, right? And then that leads to whatever. And before the whole night's over with, you started with the Everly Brothers, and now you're looking at Men Without Hats, the safety dance. I mean, it's just crazy. It's endless. So it's just.
Do you sing any Everly Brothers?
Did I what?
Do you sing? Is it part of your repertoire at all?
I do 2 of them, and I'm working on a 3rd.
Oh.
I'm working on Wake Up Little Susie.
Is it tough
Great
because
song.
they are the harmonizing such a big deal? Is that hard to do as a single singer?
No, I just picked the one that I picked the basically the melody. I tried to do the melody.
Okay.
And the harmony is great, but obviously I'm just one voice. But you can buy these gadgets now called the harmonizer and stuff, and it's like a foot pedal switch, whatever you hit it, and all of a sudden you got your voice an octave higher or lower or whatever. It depends on how you set it.
Is that cheating?
I've been looking at that because I'm not a technical guy at all, and making a purchase like that would be like me making a smartphone purchase, for God's sake. So I have to give that some thought.
We know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No.
You
not anytime soon.
The way you started out is a lot like the way we started out on this podcast. We had no idea about the technical aspect of it.
Spend a shitload of money.
Yeah, we
Within reason.
We spent reasonable money. We got what we needed to get. I watched a lot of. Thank God for YouTube. You see, you didn't have YouTube back then.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough.
You can watch every show you've ever watched in your lifetime on YouTube. It's just it's an unbelievable site. It really is.
Yeah, and it teaches you almost everything you've ever had a question about. Like if I don't know how to wire up an outlet,
that too.
I'll look it up.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
If I don't know how to do a podcast and I'm interested in doing podcasting, there's so many videos.
This last summer, well, you want to do a podcast? That sounds kind of fun. Well, what do we have to do? Well, just YouTube it. How you do a podcast? And that's how we started.
That's how we started.
And so we started with a mic sitting in the middle that picked up this horrible echo everywhere except for our voices.
It was a condenser mic, now I know the difference between a condenser and a dynamic microphone.
We probably trashed 40 episodes of the podcast. Would you say 40?
No, nowhere near 40. Like 12.
So we trashed like 12 episodes
they were
of the
great.
podcast.
I wouldn't say trashed. We still have them. They don't sound well enough that I want to put them on iTunes, I don't want to put them on the internet.
We went from the single mic to headset mics in about a day.
Yeah.
And the headset mics were better.
The headset mics were better, but when we recorded them, they were both plugged into the
same computer.
The same computer. And so the way you had to manipulate the software is Todd would be in your right ear and I would be in your left ear. Now, one of the guys that I work with has been a diehard Primal Scream podcast listener from the day one, from the very beginning, even with the...
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ben. Even with the 12 that we have not posted, and he would give me feedback. And so a positive to that way was he goes, at times I would close my eyes and say, and I would feel like I'm in a room and you're over here and he's over there, and I just feel compelled to put forth my opinion. Like I want to get in on this conversation. And so we started with that, and then we went with we went from the headphones to all of a sudden I was just like, I can't take it anymore.
Well, no, we had a discussion on the couch upstairs, and we said, so listen, I think we either need to go fucking all in, or we're not going to do it. So we need to get a website. We need to get a source that we can download the podcast to. Libsyn, thank God for you guys.
Yeah.
So we started. We thought, okay, we have to do it. We're all in. We're committed to it to do it.
And we needed to call Terry.
You're not kidding.
Right. Okay.
My wife, wasn't it my wife? Was it you?
It was me.
I thought it was my wife.
Well, it was because Terry played at our wedding, and so he's always been in the back of my mind of it.
You and I, and we've all loved Terry. And I could have sworn it was my wife that said, hey, you guys should see if Terry would come on your podcast.
Let's give it credit to her.
Let's give credit to her for a second.
She needs a little bit.
You know what? She's never listened to a single podcast. That's how supportive she is of this.
Now, my wife is listening.
And that will continue after this one.
It may continue
on. Oh, no. If he knows he's playing, she'll be listening
she'll probably listen to this one, and she'll listen to the previous one, which was about sex. The sex therapist, because she really likes
Denise Stapley. It was great.
Yeah, she was fantastic. So, but yeah, that initial... That was something that we had that you didn't have, which was the YouTube and learning this stuff. When you decided, I want to play. I want to be a musician. I want to have this stuff, and I'm going to need an amp and a mic stand. And
I didn't have YouTube or a computer back then. I'm sure computers were out. I just didn't have a computer back then.
It was probably expensive. I mean, I bet you mic stands and mics and cords and amps were fucking expensive. This stuff is relatively inexpensive because it's made cheaply. We bought it in bulk.
Yeah, it still costs some money. Quality stuff. I don't buy the pawn shop stuff. No. And you can save $1 there, but you get what you pay for, and in the equipment, that's for sure.
I've bought a few things at a pawn shop. Pawn shop. Don't.
You can edit this, right?
Pawn shops aren't that bad.
Oh, pawn shops are sketchy. It's that simple. Now, once in a while, you can find a gem.
Am I a bad person if I got a Christmas present at a pawn shop?
No, I'm not saying that. Anybody can find a diamond in a piece of shit. I'm just saying that.
Terry's smiling.
Overall,
Terry's not saying anything. Terry's like, you got a Christmas present for somebody from a pawn shop?
And his wife loves that ring. Oh. Shit. I'm sorry. God. Did she bite it? Did she bite it to see if it was real gold? Why is this turning my finger green? I hate that.
Because that's what gold does. If you know anything about gold, it turns your skin green.
Yeah, exactly.
Too funny.
All right. Hey, so should we do?
Terry, we've asked you 2 songs so far.
We got 2 songs down.
So what if you want to, you have got your name out there already, you're branded well in the Cedar Rapids area. If you had one song that you had to play, no matter what would it be?
Why don't we do, we talked a little bit about Seeger. Let's do Turn the Page.
Turn the Page.
Turn the Page by Bob Seger.
Enjoy, my friends.
2, 3, 4.
On a long and lonesome highway east of Omaha, you can listen to the engine moaning out his one-note song. You can think about the woman or the girl you knew the night before. But your thoughts will soon be wandering the way they always do when you're riding 16 hours and there's nothing much to do, and you don't feel much like riding. You just wish the trip was through. Say, here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. Here I go playing star again. There I go, turn the page. Yeah. Well, you walk into a restaurant, strung out from the road, and you feel the eyes upon you as you're shaking off the cold. You pretend it doesn't bother you, but you just want to explode. Most times you can hear them talk, other times you can. Oh, the same old cliches. Is that a woman or a man? And you always seem outnumbered. You don't dare make a stand. With the echoes from the amplifiers ringing in your head, you smoke the day's last cigarette, remembering what she said. Say, here I am on the road again. Yeah, here I am up on the stage. Playing star again. There I go, turn the page. Yeah, here I am
Thank you very much. That goes out to Mr. Ty Billings. He's the one that taught me that song. Don't know where he's at anymore, but Ty, we love you. All right. That was a Bob Seger tune. Penned in the state of Iowa, Interstate 80. Second verse, written in a restaurant in Dubuque, which I believe was, I want to say, Sfikis Restaurant, which still sits there, but it's now called, I think, the Butterfly Cafe. Same building, just a different ownership, different name. But when that song was written in the early 70s, I believe it was called Sfikis. And that would be Sfikas. Sfikis. In Dubuque. Dubuque. Still sits there. So, anyway.
I feel more and more almost like this is a selfish thing. I'm glad people enjoy the podcast and are downloading it.
Yeah.
I feel
It's a
so lucky.
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like it's a selfish thing that I'm like, how do I get to have the opportunity? It's like watching Evan Stock play the other night. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I get to sit in this room and watch these.
Who am I to get this experience?
Yeah, I get to bring my kids in here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, and to sit here and talk, to have a sit down conversation with Terry is another one of those things. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to find out more. I'm not done with him yet because I want to grill him some more.
I'm nowhere near done with him.
I want to find out where he went to school. I want to know what his, I want to know more of the meat that makes up Terry McCaulley. That's what's going to happen next. Because the songs have been wonderful. They're beautiful. We love him.
Yeah.
And if you get on his website and his Facebook, you've got to get on Terry's website. Follow where he's at, no matter where he's going to be in Eastern Iowa. You've got to listen to him. He is so much better in live, in person. His personality is wonderful. Tip him huge. That's the key.
Denise Stapley had mentioned, I had asked Denise Stapley, what could couples do to rekindle that spark in their relationship, and having date night and things like that was brought up. Going out to see Terry McCauley might be one of the sexiest fucking things you can do.
Let the love flow, man.
Because it's an intimate. I said intimate.
Well, it's intimate because it's playing songs that everybody knows that you can enjoy. Yeah. It's a group activity. It's the whole place is enjoying themselves. But then the two of you, so it's intimate. That's a perfect way of explaining it, dude.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, Terry, you're intimate. Is that what you said?
Intimate. Ooh, we should incense and some candles. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate that.
Dim the lights and have some candles, set the mood.
Dude, you're lucky we're not videoing this stuff right now because I DIY'd a light fixture and it will blind the shit out of Ray Charles. It will blind the shit out of Ray Charles.
The best part of the DIY light is that he gets on YouTube. God damn it, YouTube! This is your one flaw. They said, here's how to make a light for lighting a studio
on the cheap.
$80. So he goes to Menards, gets all the things he needs, and it's $80 or probably a little bit more.
Yeah,
he gets he's working at it. He does everything the YouTube video shows him to do. Makes a wonderful light. It's a great light.
It's a neat looking light.
He gets on Amazon, and you can get 2 lights with light stands with umbrellas on them to disperse the light for $40 a piece.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to...
You know what? I'm fucking proud of it. I'm going to show him.
Show me what you...
I'm not going to diminish what you did at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I think it's hilarious that YouTube got you so convinced of what you had accomplished that you can't buy it cheaper now, because we know we can buy things in China that cost a penny on the dollar. Look at this behemoth. Oh my God. We got to get it. We need a picture so we can put it on the web page.
Oh my God.
Look at that. It's a masterpiece, to be honest. It's incredible. Hey, buddy, if I didn't say so, great job. That's really awesome. Don't plug it in.
See all the wiring in the back?
I see everything. You bet.
I got a handle on top.
Are you going to blind me?
Don't.
I got
turn it somewhere.
No, I'm not going to turn it on.
It's like the sun when you turn that thing on.
Now, what did you run out of bulbs?
He only bought a 4. He thought he was buying an 8-pack, and he only bought a 6-pack.
Okay.
Never happens in beer, but it happened in bulbs.
I thought I had 8. Oh well. But
it's fantastic.
That son of a bitch will blind you.
It's awesome. It'll be good when we do our video podcasts, which are coming up. April 4th, we have 2 scheduled events. CrossFit 2.2 video podcast from there. That evening, we have the Evan Scott Band at Parma City, same exact night. So you will feel like it's stretched out a week, but they actually happen back to back.
So if Matt freaks out on Todd and does like this crazy bitch slap thing, if you see that, it's totally justified. I'm just saying it now.
Why? When
a man can only deal with so much Todd. Any man can only deal with so much Todd.
Wow, it hurts my feelings a tad.
Well, you're powerful.
I think you're a beautiful human being, and I'm not sure why you had to take that out on me. I think you're the best.
All right, you were going to ask him about his schooling and all this other stuff.
I want a little more meat. About Terry McCaulley. If we cut you open, upbringing, you said Dubuque. Where'd you go to school, high school?
We want to know about your lovers. We want to know about any type of drug experience. We want to know about jail time. We want to know about any children that might
or might
not be genetically.
Well, first I'm going to start this off by saying you're a motorcycle guy.
Can we just play music instead?
Oh, come on.
Let's just play a song.
We've been playing music. We'll get to some music for sure, but we want to know a little more meat.
You are a motorcycle guy.
I'd much rather sing Puff the Magic Dragon right now.
Sweet. I'd rather Puff the Magic Dragon. God damn it. I know. What's
wrong with you?
I'm sorry.
It always comes
Meet the Fockers. That's where I got it from.
It always comes back to pot with you.
That's a great movie.
It's a great movie. No, I don't like pot. I don't say that you shouldn't do things like that. It's terrible for you. Go ahead, Terry. You are a motorcycle guy?
Yeah, I ride. I got a
Goldwing.
I got a Road King last year. Put on the most miles I ever done in a season, which was 1 mile shy of 7,500.
Whoa!
And that's not really going anywhere. That's a lot of after work riding and stuff like that.
Do you ever ride with like your guitar on your back, kind of like
Never.
Cool guy? No,
never.
Oh, that sounds so neat.
No, when I'm on the bike, I'm just I'm away from all that, and I just conquer the roads, new roads, strange
Sturgis?
roads.
Ever Sturgis do that gig or?
Haven't been there yet. You got to have time to do that, and I don't have that. I don't have that time with the weekends and things like that when I'm playing all the time.
And you have a day job.
I can't get away. Yeah, work during the day for a company called Lincare. I'm a salesperson for
good for you.
Lincare, which is a respiratory company that deals with oxygen and CPAP machines and things like that. Call on a lot of clinics and hospitals.
Interesting.
So,
doesn't my son use the CPAP machine?
CPAP, yeah, but he said oxygen. CPAP machines
he
too?
said CPAP.
For sleep apnea people.
Oh, sure.
Oxygen.
My wife keeps telling me I need one of those. I keep telling her I need to lose weight.
You smoke, right, Todd?
No.
No, it depends on what you're talking about, but no, I don't smoke.
Matt, you smoke.
I used to smoke.
Okay.
I used to.
Stay away from it. Then we won't be...
Did you ever smoke? Were you ever a cool kid and smoked when you were a kid?
I never...
You never protect?
No, never.
Because of the vocal cords, or just because you didn't?
Just never had a desire to smoke ever.
I remember the one time. everybody has that story, but my mom's. I remember her. She started
a lot of secondhand smoke.
Oh, I bet you do.
Oh, sure.
Oh, God.
Never smoked.
That has to make you feel awesome. I mean, when that law came into effect, and they were like, no more.
That should have been 10 years before it even came in effect. That wouldn't even bothered me at all. But I had to endure that for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So was it a day and night difference?
Oh yeah, it's. I remember many nights vividly where it was just, oh my God, everything was so hazy and like a chimney in there, and yet.
But your throat, your singing voice, doesn't it affect that at all, or not really?
Yes and no.
But you would go home smelling like an ashtray.
God. I remember hanging. Yeah, I remember hanging clothes in the garage for the weekend. It was a Friday night show. I didn't get my coat or hat or whatever. Until Monday morning, it had to air out all weekend long.
Oh,
it's just awful.
That's the worst. And everybody keeps.
I haven't had to do that since the law came.
It's fantastic. Everybody keeps talking about these e-cigarettes and how they're going to start banning those, and I'm like,
they've already started banning those.
But why would they ban them?
Because there's not enough. Because they basically changed something.
Are we back to current events now?
Sorry, Terry. You were the focus just for 2 seconds, and then
Terry's going to focus on a couple beers.
Okay.
And we're going to.
We used to call this podcast the rabbit going down the rabbit hole, and this is why. Go ahead, finish your thought.
No, there is laws out there now banning e-cigarettes from bars and things like that because there are no not experiments is the wrong thing. There are no clinical information about what exactly is the thing that you're inhaling. How harmful is it to you? There's just nothing. There's nothing to it.
So it's not like. So I mean, I guess that's true.
So we have no idea.
We don't know what that inhalant is.
We have no
right?
idea how harmful or how beneficial that is to the human body or secondhand smoke from that. I mean, it's vapor.
Anyways, but I wonder. I guess that's true. I guess that makes sense,
they don't know exactly how harmful it is to yourself or others, so they've banned it. So the people that really enjoy e-cigarettes, that trying to get away from regular cigarettes, maybe it is better than regular cigarettes. But then again, because we don't know, better be safe than I don't know if better than be safe than sorry is. I was
under the assumption that it was just like almost like a steam, like almost like well, it's got to be an inhalant of some sort that can carry nicotine. So I mean, I guess it's got to be something.
Yeah, it's got to have chemicals in it to give you that same But then again, you know what? We eat Triscuits. What the fuck are those things made out of?
Exactly.
We eat goldfish. We eat things that taste like vanilla.
Right,
and
vanilla.
There's no fucking vanilla extract in it.
Or have you seen those taster things where you can smell that they dip it in this little chemical and you smell it, you're like, I smell turkey, gravy.
Yeah.
You smell everything for a Thanksgiving dinner in one sniff, and that scares the shit out of me. Just saying.
What are those beans called again that taste like all that kind of stuff?
Oh, that's
Jelly Bellies?
Jelly Bellies.
Yeah.
See? That's all chemicals. That's fucked up. I never realized that.
That was a very interesting product, I thought.
Yeah, that was a pretty
God.
It was an interesting science experiment.
Right?
Yes, it is. It's still
horrible.
out there.
Because see,
it's horrible.
To me, jelly beans are just that pure sugar jelly bean. You might get a licorice one. You might get one that tastes a little different, but it's like Jelly Bellies when they start actually tasting like flavors.
It was a really interesting concept, though.
Yeah, like they had a coffee one.
Wasn't President Reagan?
I thought it was Clinton. Was it Clinton or was it Reagan?
No, Reagan was, but he was
jelly beans. Right?
It was jelly beans, not Jelly Bellies.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
He's like regular sugar cane jelly beans.
Sugar cane.
Yeah. Well, that's what I eat at Easter time. That's what my favorite thing is jelly beans. I just like straight jelly beans. I don't like Jelly Bellies because I don't want to eat a goddamn coffee jelly bean and then eat a cherry jelly bean. So I want to have a handful of jelly beans.
If you grab a yellow one, it's got some brown spots on it. Oh,
you have no idea what's
it's fucking Russian roulette with
and
the
who
taste
wants
buds.
to guess? Who wants to guess when they eat jelly beans?
I don't want to look at an owner's manual when I eat jelly beans.
I just want to consume as much sugar as I can without anybody giving me shit about it.
Wow.
Yeah. Should we go back to Terry now?
Let's go back to Terry.
He is in the room, so
Might
he
as
should be
well.
acknowledged at this
he
point.
is a guest.
I was just getting into the current events, too. Damn.
The Jelly Belly controversy on the podcast. Nice. I do want to know more about your upbringing. Parents together, divorced?
Well, my parents are still around. They come out to my shows when I'm closer to home in Dubuque. They were out there this past Friday night up in Asbury. They'll be out there for the St. Pat's. It's an early St. Patrick's Day celebration at a place called Junction 21. It's a restaurant, bar, and grill. Very nice place. The only game in town in Centralia, Iowa.
They just dote over you. They're so proud, kind of.
It's just south of Sundown, the ski mountain resort, and I play there too. But they're both 84, and they both get around. They both dance. They were huge square and round dancers. They founded the Square Dancing Club in Dubuque. They were like charter like president, or I don't know what the title was, but for 30 years they did that in Dubuque, 35 maybe, and they quit.
Wow.
When we got into high school. The kids got into high school, especially me, because they wanted to follow my activities. I was an athlete in high school, so I'm still an athlete.
And your sports were what?
I don't. Basketball is always my number one sport.
Wow.
I played all three: football, basketball, and baseball. But I stuck with basketball.
Would you let your son play football now? If you knew about all the brain trauma and all that kind of stuff, would you let him do it?
Yes. Football's not going to go away.
Oh, no.
It's not going to go away.
He's a better man than we are. Do you realize that?
Well, yeah. And he plays the mean guitar.
I love football, yeah.
Oh, God. I'm a huge football fan. And we've talked about this on the podcast. My brother, who played college football and World League football,
Your brother did?
Yeah. And so... And
he played for the Cox.
He played for... Jesus. The Cox.
Right?
You just want to scream that word?
I thought he played for the Gamecocks.
He plays for the Raging Cajuns in Lafayette, Louisiana. Southwest Louisiana. Yeah. You just scream cock for no reason at all.
Lafayette, Louisiana.
The Raging Cajuns.
Name their favorite son. Who is from Lafayette,
Louisiana? I have no idea.
Their favorite son
is... James Carville. He played... Well, you know what?
Then I don't know. Okay, you got me on that one. Okay. I wasn't thinking of James Carville.
Who are you thinking of?
Orlando Woolridge.
Who's that?
He was an All-American at Notre Dame basketball. Played for the Bulls and the Lakers and the Pistons.
And he went to Southwest Louisiana?
He just passed away a year ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you never heard of Orlando Woolridge?
I have not. No, I've heard of Woolridge. Sure, I have.
Now,
but see, I'm a football guy. I'm one of those guys that's kind of bad. Since we had Sauce Hockey on the podcast, I'm a little bit more into hockey before and after that. But when it comes
to Orlando Woolridge on that thing,
yes, sir.
You'll see all kinds of pictures of him as a Laker,
funky box with keys on it.
He was an NBA All-Star for like 5 years.
Here's the thing.
We're talking mid-'80s, early 90s.
This is the cool thing about me. I don't like sports,
and you don't know any trivia.
And I have zero trivia knowledge about baseball, basketball, or football. Zero, none. So when somebody says, "Hey, have you heard of this?"
Nope.
No,
so say his name again, Terry.
Orlando Woolridge. He wore 0. Every uniform he wore was 0, except in college he was 32. So I'm a big Notre Dame fan. So
okay. Yeah, Lakers.
Bulls.
Bulls.
There he is right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of
interesting. So my brother, who played college football, has twin boys. He's not letting them play football. My wife and I, we watched 2 shows that did a study of football. It had 2 things that caught us off guard. One was a football player was an All-American 4.2 at grade point average at a high school in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was asked. He was Yale, Harvard, and somebody else asked him to come their colleges on scholarships to play football, but also for academics. He said, I'm a hometown kid. I'm going to stay in Little Rock. He played for the Razorbacks. All he did was return punt kickoffs. By the time he was a junior, dropped out of school, brain activity to the point where he only got a job mowing lawns and things like that, kind of like the worst case scenario, so to speak. But then they also had a kid they followed through his sophomore or junior year of high school, and they took 5 pictures of his brain throughout the entire year, and it was like normal brain activity, and every single picture was like less and less and less, to the point where he had such minimal brain activity at the end of his football season that his parents decided to have him not play football anymore. Now, the doctors did say, now, your brain can take 1,000 hits a season and recover. It's like a muscle. It can recover and repair itself, so you're still a functional human being. But once you get past 1,000 hits in a season, your brain's not able to even heal itself enough before the next hit happens that they really start seeing that drop off. And so we looked at each other, and I was like,
no more football.
Well, it was only because I know how fanatical a football fan I am. And when it comes to our kids right now could be playing helmet to helmet football right now at 5 or 6 years old. And so it's
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's starting early and earlier. I remember playing Pop Warner football in California when I was in 5th or 6th grade. Is when I started, and I remember the splitting headaches I used to get from hitting drills and all the crazy shit that we did, just normal football stuff. My brother has had 6 concussions, and so he's just waiting to see what kind of detrimental effects happen from that. And I tell a story all the time about him playing at a high school in California, which is a very big football geared state, obviously, kind of like Texas. He broke a state record in high school for the most touchdowns in a game, the most yards in a game, and the most passes in a game. And he got laid out at the end of the 4th quarter. And to this day, he can remember absolutely nothing of the entire game that kind of was his career. And that night, I remember he was sitting on the couch because we couldn't let him go to sleep because he had such a bad concussion. We would walk by. We'd be doing things in the house, and we'd walk by, and he'd be like, "Hey, Todd, I had a good game, didn't I? And I said, yeah, you had an incredible game, the best game of your career. What was the score? Did we win? Yeah, you won. Here's the score. Here, the score was this and this and this. He asked us so many times, we actually started writing it. We wrote it down on a whiteboard, set it on the mantle, so that every time he asked us, we would say, just look at the mantle, and he would read it and go, oh, okay. Because every 15 minutes, he would forget what it was.
This was your brother?
This is my brother, and he went on to play college football, and he did okay in college.
Didn't he go overseas?
He played in France in the World League for a while, got his knee blown out, and that was the end. But a serious athlete.
Did I meet him that day at the reception?
No, you didn't.
He wasn't there.
He lives in California. Yeah,
Okay.
so unfortunately, he was not there.
And you guys aren't close enough.
Where'd he go?
And he's at my wedding. He was actually at my wedding on the beach.
Okay.
And the reception was back here for family.
Right.
So he's actually at my wedding.
And where was where did he go to school at? What college?
He went to Gunn High School in Palo Alto, California. Then he went to Southwest Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Raging Cajuns,
Raging
not the
Cajuns.
Gamecocks.
Not the Gamecocks, the Raging Cajuns. And I actually got to see him play in the Superdome.
You know who their favorite son is then from Lafayette? Oh, we had that conversation. I'm sorry.
You mean Orlando Woolridge?
Yeah.
No, but I do now.
So what high school did you go to then?
I went to Dubuque Hempstead.
Okay.
The Mustangs.
They're still a pretty big sports school.
They always were. Yeah. When I went to school there, it's funny. The 4 years that I was there, Dubuque Hempstead was known for their football and baseball. And Dubuque Wahlert, the Catholic high school, was always basketball.
Basketball.
And their women.
Always. And their women?
Oh, wait. I was just thinking of Catholic schoolgirls.
So you were raised Catholic then?
Catholic girls.
Were you Catholic?
In the neighborhood. Catholic girls. Kind of wild. I don't know all the words. But anyway.
Were you raised Catholic?
Yes.
Well, Dubuque's a big Catholic town. So
Irish Catholic, 85% of them ruled when I was there. And we're talking, 60s, 70s. I got out of there roughly around 1980.
A lot of siblings?
Got 3 sisters.
Older, younger, in the middle?
I would have been the youngest, but we had...
Dang it, Dad.
Yeah, we had another one arrive 9 years after me, so...
Oh, shit.
That's from all the circle dancing and the square dancing.
Well, it's like that sounds like my wife the other day saying to me, are you sure we shouldn't had a third? And I go, you're kidding, correct? And she goes, I don't know. Sometimes I just think, we might have a third. I was like, have you met our youngest? Do you realize the shit we're going through right now? Do we need a third child in this household? I have so many friends who say, you'd be such a good dad for a little girl. I'm like, first of all, I only produce boys.
That's
Second
right.
of all,
because you got super sperm.
Something's going on.
Whatever.
Super freak.
Yeah.
Super freak.
Yeah.
So again, and that would be what it'd be like. It'd be like all of a sudden, I remember when my last kid was out of diapers, I was like, oh, Jesus, we can stop buying diapers. It saves so much money.
Yes.
Every little bit, I'm just like, oh, we're going to save money doing this. And they're independent now. Oh, they can just, hang out and we can just chill out together. I could not imagine being 9 years in, all of a sudden, hey, a new little bundle of joy. Were you thrilled, or were you like, oh, I was the baby and that you were pissed?
The family joke there was I wanted a brother, a baby brother, and when she became a she, when I found that out, I was kind of upset. So what my dad bought me was a baseball glove to calm my nerves and everything like that, and it was one of those Kmart blue light specials, and I had that glove for 12 years or so.
Well, 2 things. First of all, if he had bought you a guitar, do you know the kind of story we would have? Second of all, I know a guy who can turn that baseball glove into an incredible wristwatch.
Chuck Kavanaugh, Rise Above Leathers.
Not kidding.
Yeah. Oh, I'll show you that. If anybody...
How to make a glove into a wristwatch?
Well, he's a leather artist.
Yep.
He's a leather artist.
Preston
Rise Above Leathers by Preston.
Is this on YouTube again?
No, it's actually one of the guys. He's a local artist.
Oh, okay.
And he's been on the podcast. And there was a friend of his that brought in his baseball glove, and he said, I'm not doing anything with this. Could you please make it into a cuff, a leather cuff, watch band? And he did, and it is one of the sickest, neatest looking things ever. And from that point, when we had Chuck on, and he showed us what he's done, I have talked to so many people who are so interested in taking something from their fathers or from their grandfathers, if they had an old watch that they can have refurbished, because Chuck knows a guy who refurbishes watches.
He didn't do this all in front of you, did he?
No.
He took it with him and came back again to show you what he did?
Yeah, he was telling us about it.
Yeah, he was telling us about it, and he showed us the pictures of the cuff on his page, on his website.
Okay.
And but I thought, what a neat thing to be able to do is to take something like my boys right now, they play baseball, and when they get old enough or too big for the gloves that they're using right now, what am I going to do with them? Throw them away? Or I could get a hold of Preston Leathers and say, could you make me something neat that I can continue to keep with me? So every time I look at this, I can remember when my kids were young.
Or your kids. Make something for your kids.
Or make them for my kids. Yeah.
Like this used to be my glove, and, now it's an armband or a pair of underwear, whatever.
I'm getting some chaps. I want him to make me chaps. And he goes, assless chaps? I go, if I wear them naked, I'll be assless. But if they're just chaps, it should be okay.
Because all chaps are assless.
Because all chaps are assless. That's just the way they are. Yeah. Damn it, I'm trying to find it and I can't find it.
You can't find.
I'm sorry. I found it, but I'm
went to his
still
YouTube
looking.
Or his Facebook page?
I'm still looking. I'm scrolling.
All right, you're scrolling.
And I'm scrolling. Go ahead.
All right.
So you have for a Catholic town, 4 kids is not that bad. When I hear it, Stephen Colbert on the Stephen Colbert show is number 13 of 13, and I'm like,
he was.
Whoa,
yeah,
that's Catholic to me. That's like serious Catholic.
And it could be a farm family too. You see a lot of that with farm families.
So got to have laborers, right?
Right. That's exactly right. And maybe he's from a farm. I don't know. A lot of farm families have a lot of kids because of that.
And
that makes total sense.
That's not the only thing, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, and if you don't,
there's a lot of love,
or square or circle dancing. Now,
if you want to.
I joke about that, but that is that's one of those things that I think our parents, our grandparents, and their parents, there was something about the older generations that they did things together. And nowadays, it's so commonplace for the wife to have a completely separate life than her husband. And the husband has a completely separate interest, and they're lucky if they can connect for an hour a night because they're so busy. They have their own careers, they have their own businesses, whatever, and to be able to come together. And your parents, and your parents spending that many years dancing together and having that type of connection. There's something that dancing gives you that together that very few things.
But I also think it's finding something you're passionate about together and making sure you do that thing together, no matter what it is. I would think dancing would be awesome.
So I'm actually surprised that there's only 4 kids. 5 kids. Yeah, I'm
4 kids.
He's third of 4.
Yeah, so I'm kind of surprised by that.
Were your sisters awesome? Were they just take care of you and love you like crazy, or were they pains in the ass, or what?
They're all.
Did they do your hair?
No.
They braid your hair?
You
can say
it. Not much hair anymore, but
hey, listen, there's only going to be a couple of hundred, maybe 1,000 people listen to this. So if you want to let loose,
now's your chance.
Only tonight are you going to hear.
They've always been good to me, so They supported my music through the years, and my sister Kathy comes out quite a bit. She lives in town. My older sister Connie, she lives in Geneseo. She's retired. Retired counselor, school teacher from the Illinois school system.
What year did you graduate from high school?
Class of 1980.
1980.
Our senior year, we took the state title in football.
Nice. What position did you play?
I was basketball.
I'm sorry. I thought you said you played football too. I'm sorry.
I did, but that was just my freshman year.
Oh, okay.
From there, I just stuck with basketball, and I wasn't big enough for football, but basketball was my sport. So, I was shooting the threes before the 3-point line was ever implemented.
Oh shit!
That's where my shot was. So my average would have jumped up at least 6-7 points.
All right.
A game.
So were hoping to go to college for basketball, or was basketball just something that you did in high school?
I went to UNI, played up there a little bit, and That's about it.
That's awesome. You played college basketball?
No, I played pretty much, what do you call it?
Intramural?
Yeah. There was another league, though, at the time, too. I forget the name of it now, but it was fun. It was good camaraderie. I enjoyed it.
And you got your degree from UNI?
Yes.
What'd you get your degree in?
Communications, emphasis, radio, television. I was in radio for like 3 years and had a minor in journalism.
I heard Nubo Market's looking for a new radio station. You ever thought about that?
No.
It's defunct now.
Not at all. Not at all. I like to play down there, though, sometime.
It's right above the station that they were going to have was right above Parlor City.
Yeah.
Are you talking now across the street or at Parlor City?
Right above Parlor City.
I knew that. I don't think... Is that still...
Nope. It's a goner. Have you played at Nubo Market yet?
No, that's what I was saying. I like to play down there. I don't know.
They have an amphitheater in front of the Nubo Market now that I've seen music at before, so I wasn't sure if that's something you guys ever done.
That's down the road. That's down by the river, right?
No, I mean, like, there's a place where people are playing in front of Nubo Market. There's like a little stage at the end, kind of, a stage-like.
Yeah, that's right. No, I haven't been down there at all. I mean, other than to visit.
Okay.
So I like to get down there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed at the McGrath Amphitheater, which is what they call in that new river amphitheater.
Yeah,
at one point, it was going to hold like 5,000 people, serious summer concerts from Milwaukee, kind of like Music Fest kind of thing, and they kept downsizing it and downsizing it and downsizing it.
So
and now it's like
what, 30?
2,000 maybe, 2,000 people, but when you want to pull in somebody big name, you got to pull in a lot of people. So it's going to be hard pressed.
Like the Primal Scream. If they ever wanted to book the Primal Scream there, they don't have enough people.
I didn't realize they were going to open up to a big act.
They were going to try to make it so that it was a destination kind of place to come to and see big time people outside in the summertime, because we have the bridges are so unique. Yeah. You know, the downtown area is such a unique space.
I didn't know that. I never saw that for that.
Yeah.
It's not big enough.
It's not big enough now. No, not by a long shot.
You know,
so that was pretty disappointing.
Just wait until the casino comes in.
Yeah.
And when the casino comes in, you're going to be a headliner. Maybe you'll be a headliner at the casino. Do you play casinos?
Would you want to be a headliner?
I play at Mystique Casino up in Dubuque periodically.
Huh.
I've been up there before. That was my first casino experience. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. You play for people that, you know, they're different all the time. You know, you have your regular following, your regular crowd, but now you're playing for people that represent pretty much 3 states.
Yeah.
You know, you got Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa there, and it's nice to play for, you know, new faces, new crowd.
Now, when you're looking for a new venue, like, walk me through it. Like, how do you, or do you do it, or does somebody else? Do you have somebody else booking your shows?
I wish I had someone else. I mean, I got some friends that look out for me periodically, but pretty much I just knock on doors. I'll go in there and just introduce myself, tell them who I am, and around here they pretty much all know me. But when I'm going out of the 6-7 county area that I basically play in, all my information's on my card. I tell them to go to Facebook, YouTube. Here's my email.
Do you got a lot of videos on YouTube?
There's a few on there. There's I had nothing to do with that. A friend of mine at the time recorded a benefit that we did about 4 or 5 years ago, and I believe you just punch in my name and I'll come up there over. There'll be like 6, 7, 8 songs on there, I believe, unless they've been removed. I don't know. I have no control over that because I didn't.
Because you didn't post it,
right?
Right.
But I thought they were all right, and I had some comments on them, and
because that's kind of the new thing with artists, or that's a new phenomenon that I don't know if you've noticed it or not. When we had Eric Kleinek on from Sauce Hockey, and I was doing some research on him, trying to get more familiar with him before he came on, he's got a YouTube site, and when I went to his YouTube site, they sponsor. Well, I shouldn't say sponsor. They have on there musicians also. So they'll find musicians and they'll say, "Hey, I really like that they have a unique story, and why don't you come in and we're going to do a video shot of you, and we're going to do a little 3-minute interview of you, and why don't you go ahead and play a song." So there's this new phenomenon out there right now where these young kids, where it used to take people just pounding the pavement and going into the bars and trying to get recognized, hopefully, going to the different venues. But now kids are getting on YouTube and making quick videos of themselves,
right,
doing cover band type material,
right,
and being like Justin Bieber, being recognized from that and all of a sudden becoming famous. Have you thought about or are you interested at all in doing that, or do you like the where you're at right now? Is it a very comfortable equilibrium between work, what you want to do for yourself, and
you only have so much time to do what I just like entertaining. If I have an audience and they want to hear what I have to do, that's fine with me. Sure, you like to go above and beyond that, but so does everybody else, I guess. And all the bands and all the groups and solo people that have made it, a household name, whatever, throughout the country, world, whatever. Just think of all the bands and solo artists that like never leave their hometown. For instance, oh my God, it's unbelievable. The amount is staggering. For every Tom Petty that you run into, there are millions of Tom Petty, in the same
quality,
state. Yeah. And I pay attention to interviews too, where some of these name artists are asked, who have you seen that that could have made it or should have made it or whatever, and they always say that there's other people that they're 10 times the musician they are, but yet a lot of it has to be has to deal with being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right person, the right contact, and a lot of it is granted, you got to have talent and skill. There's a lot of luck involved too. There really is.
We're hearing Garth Brooks say that, saying, I do not have the best voice. There's plenty of people that I know that have much better voices than I do.
Well, and you have to have the, I don't know if
you got to have talent though. You got to have talent,
right? The wherewithal to want to do it.
What you persevere with,
Yeah.
And if you have the talent, things will either develop for you or open.
And you also have to want it. My brother would say the same thing.
Want that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, you have to want that, because my brother would say the first thing he'd say is that he had the talent to get him as far as he did in college, which is pretty good, but he didn't. Once he got benched for a better quarterback, he didn't stop and say, oh, this is it, man, I got to buckle down and get my ass in gear and start really working out, because he could have been an NFL quarterback if he had done that, and he knows that. So it's the thing, you have to want to be able to put forth all the energy that's going to be required to do all that kind of stuff.
Right. That's exactly true. So.
Yeah. I just feel blessed.
I do.
I really do that you came in today.
Very honored.
Because I just love listening to you sing and watching you play. And if you are somebody who has any type of passion with the guitar, if you can appreciate that skill in any way, I tell you what, when I would come and watch you play, I was so fascinated by musicians and the talent that they have. I could hear your voice, but I would stare at your hands. I would just stare at how you played.
A lot of people do that, yeah.
It's just
funny. When I see someone staring, then I'll look at them and they're still staring at my hands, and so then I'll do a gyration, to get them looking at me. I go, I know what you're looking at, It's funny. There's a couple guys that do that in the crowd.
You're right, though, because, the same thing happened to me. My wife she said, you've got to see this guy. You've got to hear him. You're going to love him. And she tends to be a little over exuberant and play things up just a tad.
Amy and I go way back.
Yeah.
Go back to the McGill days.
And so I remember.
Did you know her during the McGill days?
No, I did not. No, but
terrific memories back then.
It goes way. Yeah.
I met her and her good friend Jill.
Yeah.
And are they still?
They're still friends, but it's very it's like Facebook kind of separate kind of thing. But
kids will do that.
Yeah. But I remember her saying, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll go. Kind of like, okay, she was talking about something really great again, and we'll see how great it really is, kind of situation. And I just remember you started playing. I was like, oh my God, I'm back in my childhood again. This is the best. And from that point on, it was like I had a love affair right from there. That was it. There was a lock, stock, and barrel. It was one song. I was like, okay, whenever he's going to play, if we have the opportunity, we're going to go, because it's just too good. So
you know what? Nice. I'm going to look at my calendar right now, because I want to see if I'm going to be disappointed or if I'm going to be happy. When are you playing at Parlor City next?
March 28th.
March
It's a Friday
28th.
night. Friday night at 8 o'clock.
You work, buddy. Sorry. It's sad that I know your schedule better than my wife's.
Yeah.
But
well,
you
you
do
know
work.
what? Maybe I'll still come by. Maybe I'll still swing by
Well, it's in the
and have a
evening.
beer or two. Yeah.
That would be cool.
I'll be in Chicago. Otherwise, I'm all over it.
Well, because you're a hater.
No,
The
I'm
following-
not.
No, I'm just kidding.
The following Friday, then I'll be at the CRL, and that's happy hour. That's from
CRL. What's
CRL?
Cedar River Landing.
Cedar River
Oh,
Landing.
yeah.
Down there by the river.
Have you talked to Lion Bridge Brewery yet?
No, I haven't. I've seen that in the paper too.
All right.
Are they doing music? I don't know.
I don't know, but because I've been following them since he came back into town and started even talking about this brewery.
Quentin, right?
Yeah, and so I've
Did
been.
you work at White Ale House?
Oh, I don't know if he did or not, but he used to work for New Belgium Brewery in Colorado, and that's where he got his brewing skills.
Because that name rang a bell when I first saw it, but
So I've been messaging him. I'm part of the group there. I'm part of the club.
well, name
And
drop.
so I've been name dropping I want him on the podcast because I'm a huge beer guy, and I think it'd be so cool to have him on. But again, the more people we can get down there venue wise, I think it'd be awesome. And again, I think you're a perfect fit. I don't know why I think of you in that Nubo.
Is that
Czech
right
Village.
up the street from Parlor City?
No, it's actually across Lion Bridge into Czech Village. It's the old Nubo. It's the old Czech grocery store.
Oh,
That
okay,
they
sure.
refurbished.
I know where it's at.
It's an incredible. It's a really neat brewery. I dragged my poor 2 children in there last Wednesday when their first opening day, and I had a flight of their beers that were really.
You're
really
like, hey,
great.
kids, hang out while Dad gets drunk.
They're like, that is so cool. What is that? Always cute individual cups. And I have one child who just drinks water. That's all he likes is water. And the other one who likes just about anything. He's like, can I have a sip? Can I try that? I was like, oh, probably not a good idea. But he had a sip of one.
Probably not a good idea to feed your kid alcohol.
It was a sip of beer. Didn't you ever have a sip of beer from your dad?
No, you know what my dad did?
He
He goes,
Hey, Matt. You like this tobacco? You want some of this tobacco?
and he gave me one of those Skull fucking Bandits, and I threw up like crazy. Thanks, Dad.
It reminds me of my
Why don't you
mom.
just freaking smack me in the face?
Now cigarettes came out. She's like, honey, look at I'm smoking Now cigarettes. I'm like, what's that mean? She goes, well, they have 30% less tar. And I was like, oh, can I try one? She goes, sure, can I try one of mine? And so I took it a little bit into my mouth, and I was like, what's the big deal? She goes, now just inhale air. And so I took it into my mouth and then inhaled a bunch of air, and I threw up. And then that's the last time I ever...
That's so funny that you had that response, because my father smoked like a chimney, almost chain smoked Camel cigarettes, non-filtered,
Oof. And he's
before I was even born. So by the time I had my first cigarette, it was like mother's milk. I lit up and I inhaled, and I totally impressed my friends because I didn't choke or cough or nothing.
Oof.
Whatever.
Well, I'm a pussy anyways when it comes to stuff like that.
You're a big teddy bear.
Bong hits. That's about as harsh I could do in
Gee
college.
whiz.
Was like through water. Can I have a little vapor? Can I have a little moisture in there? I can't handle this.
Vapors.
I can't handle this harsh marijuana smoke.
All right, that's it for the Primal Scream tonight. We're gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna let Terry get out of here.
God forbid he has a life outside of this
Yeah.
small, cute little
But
studio.
Todd, people obviously are listening right now. How can they tell their friends to listen to it? Or if they're listening to us on iTunes, what are they missing from our website? And if they're going to our website, there's a few things they might want to click on.
Yeah, please get onto Facebook and like us. First of all, go to theprimalscream.org. That's the number one thing you need to do. When you're on there, get on Facebook, like us. We'd love to hear back from you. Please give us feedback on that, as well as Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. We love to hear things about what you're interested in, what you want to hear us talking about, things you want to address, things you think we're full of shit of. Whatever it is, please comment and let us know. You can follow us on iTunes, and you can follow us on Sketcher.
Do 50-50.
Stitcher. You
Stitcher.
can follow us on Stitcher, and you can follow us on Pinterest.
You're so funny.
And I know, I just stare at you really hard. I'm like, I know I'm going to get it this time. I know I got it this time. Damn it. Fail. So, anyways, please follow us and like us in any way you see fit on our website. We really like having this podcast be part of something that you would be interested in. So if you have comments or thoughts about things, let us know about
Yeah,
it.
and if you have topics, that you're like, hey, I never hear you guys talk about this. Maybe you should suggest that to us, and I'll read it, and I'll say, awesome. Let's look into it. Let's talk about it. Because maybe I think that you don't want to hear about ladies' pantyhose. I don't know. Maybe it's fascinating.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe there's a new line of garments. Maybe there's a new line of lingerie.
I'm looking in your eyes. I'm trying to see where
am I going with this? I'm not going anywhere with it. I tried to think of the most obscure freaking thing and we've never talked about it, and which is lingerie.
Yeah.
Dude, we should have some adult. There's an adult shop right down the
Primal Scream lingerie.
That would be naughty.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to everybody who's following via Denise Stapley via Survivor. We've had almost 200 downloads in a handful of days here, one of our biggest downloads, and I really want to thank everybody.
Thanks for emphasizing the thank.
I have friends who will love that sound. But, I mean, that's been pretty impressive. We loved having Denise on. We liked having her on because of who she is and what she does now. But to have that kind of feedback from people was pretty wonderful, so we really appreciate it.
And it was very educational. It was very entertaining.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that people are enjoying it.
Absolutely.
So,
Terry, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was interesting.
Enjoyable.
Maybe sometime we can come on and we'll video podcast when you're playing a gig sometime.
Yeah, maybe we'll go to Parlor City or somewhere else, and we'll have a podcast, and you're playing.
Well, you'll have it all figured out after the Evan Stock band. You'll have it all figured out, then you'll come see me later.
There you go.
Amen, brother.
The bugs ironed out then, so you can do a perfect show for me.
From your mouth to God's ear. That's going to happen. Thank you very much. We've got the endorsement.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So I'm Matt.
I am Todd.
And we'll see you later.
Adios.
Good night.